What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Rose Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay. Who else but me? And today, my guest is Tierre Diaz of AR Entertainment. Man, we had a great conversation, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. We have a lot of things in common, which I didn't know because it's my first time ever speaking to Tierre, and man, we go into all of it. So if you are a fan of the variety show format here on The Rose Show, you're really going to like this one. We made a couple Royal Rumble predictions, so we'll see if we were right, because obviously the Rumble is over, and we'll see how accurate we were in what we thought was going to happen over the Royal Rumble weekend last weekend. Tierre has got a bright future, I think, and one of the more talented people to come up in the underground in recent years, and I really think you're going to enjoy it, especially if you're a fan of that the style that I have here, where I'm in a little bit of everything. Hey, you're going to like this one for sure. So, yeah, I'm going to stop my babbling. Let's hear a word from my sponsor, and then we'll get into my interview with Tierre Diaz. Let's do it, y'all. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay, and I'm here for W Energy, my sponsors. Now, what is W Energy, you might ask? W Energy is clean, jitterless energy. Better than the canned stuff that you would get at your convenience stores, your gas stations, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have all that trash in it. Now, how do I know? Because I myself use W Energy. So what I've got here, a couple of limited edition flavors. For instance, W Energy puts out this stuff called Grandpa's Ginger Water. I know it don't sound that great, but it is amazing. Limited run that they came out that I've got actually multiple tubs of. I believe in W Energy. I use W Energy myself. Also, this was just released, and it's another limited edition flavor that they come out with, and it's called Pom Blom. It's pomegranate blossom. Real nice, clean flavor. And a lot of W Energy, whether it be classics like Calio Cream or the Dub Sludge, whatever it might be, it is clean energy. It's not going to make you feel all crappy at the end of the day after using it. Now, here's what I want you to do, because again, they're obviously a sponsor of mine, but what I want you to do is I want you to go to www.w.gg, order one of the sampler packs, which you get one of these cool tumblers, a part of the sampler pack, and I want you to grab one, but don't use my promo code. That's right. Don't use my promo code Who Else at checkout, because I want you to try it without thinking I'm just trying to sell you a bill of goods. Try it one time, and then when you go back to buy your second order of W Energy, then use my promo code Who Else at checkout for a 10% discount, because all you're going to do is try it. I know you're going to love it. That's how much I believe in this product, and I thank them for sponsoring the show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Rose Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay. Who else but me? And today, I have got a guest that you might have seen at Tom Woods' The Float. You might have caught him at the gathering while he was, either filming one of his documentaries or, hitting the stage, wherever it might be. He's also getting a brand new album that's about ready to drop here soon, but we'll get into that here shortly. It is AR Entertainment's own Tierre Diaz, my friend. What is going on, brother?
What up? Happy to be here. First time. Yo, let's get it. Let's have some fun, man. Shout out to everybody watching.
Hell yeah. Well, this is one of my favorite kind of interviews that I'm doing. We have a mutual friend in the one and only DJ Clay, and we've never spoken before. This is our first time interacting with each other that we know of. Obviously, we run in the same circles, so it might have been a possibility that we've been in the same place in the same time, but this is that actual first conversation. And like I said, it's one of my favorites to do because I love getting a deep dive into brand new artists for me that I've never really interacted with before, and learning all about them and what they put out into the underground. Because as an underground fan myself, I love it when there's artists that are on the come up like you are yourself. And a little bit of research that I did do, I saw you got some big things coming up for yourself, man. And I'm very excited to have this conversation. So let's go ahead and start at the very beginning. Go ahead and give us your background and kind of your upbringing.
Tierre Diaz, born in Worcester, Massachusetts. Always wanted to be an actor. Always wanted to be a rapper. Those are my two life goals. And I never wanted to settle for anything less. That's all I've ever wanted to do, and that's all I ever strive for. You know what I'm saying? So that has been my passions. Those have been my loves. And on that journey, I've grown love for certain subgenres of music, the underground, hip hop, 90s rap, pop, rap, metal, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I've grown love for professional wrestling. I've grown love in
Mm.
my acting journey. I grew love for improv comedy. I grew love for all these types of different avenues in my two loves. You know what I'm saying? Acting and rapping.
Yep.
That's all I ever wanted to do. And along my path, I've just my love grew for other things too that came along. You know what I'm saying? And I am living my dreams. I've never settled, and I can happily say I'm an actor and a artist today. And I never settle. I'm a performer and I'm an entertainer.
Very nice. Well, you just listed off a whole bunch of shit that I'm into as well, so I know this is going to go very well. We might go into a lot of subgenre conversations, so gear up, y'all. If you're watching this, I'm going to get into the woods because he listed a lot of stuff, and where I'm going to start at first and foremost. What? How old are you? What year were you born?
91.
91. Okay, so you're not too much younger than me, only by a couple years. So, how did you get into professional wrestling? Because that is one of my very first loves of my life. Before music, before anything else, my earliest memory in life was watching the Big Boss Man live on television. I think I was 4 years old. That's my very first memory in life. So, that's as far back as I go. How did you get into professional wrestling?
All you gotta do is do the math and see when I was, what age I was, and what wrestling was when I was on TV. Uh, and my first memory of professional wrestling is I think I was seeing The Undertaker um, put somebody down a manhole, whether it be Paul Bearer or something like that. I remember Undertaker putting someone down a manhole and me being kind of scared to death, like what the hell is happening? Like this is scary.
Right.
And I think my pops was a wrestling fan before me, and he put me onto that. I think he was the one that put me onto WWF, the Attitude Era, and ever since then I was hooked. Getting the VHSs, getting the pay per views. Before we bought him, he had the black box. Do you remember the black
Yeah.
box?
Yeah.
So
Yep,
we
I
got
do.
the pay per views for free a little bit.
Right.
We're
Right.
we're we're jacking cable a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I was getting the fucking the pay per views, and I would get them on VHS tapes to watch them for later. I remember skipping school to show my friend Ronald WrestleManias and shit like that because his parents didn't let him watch wrestling. So I was like, "Yo, just get over here. I got it on VHS." You know what I'm saying? We skipped school together, and I remember the Dirty channels also being on the black box, but that's a conversation for another day. Uh, and I remember trying to watch it back, and I was like, "Dad, you got me? You gonna record this for me?" He's like, "Sure, son." I went to bed. He'd be flipping on on the VHSs. But wrestling got at me at an early age. I want to say thanks to my pops, and ever since then, he even took me to independent shows, man, and
Mm.
which was really cool. There was a guy that looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin named Hardcore Joe, who he was friends with, and I'm sure he was dealing to, which is why he was over so much as he was. But he was like my local, like, oh shit, that's Hardcore Joe. You know, he looks like Stone Cold. He's a wrestler, and he brought me to those shows. So independent wrestling was installed early on, and professional wrestling was a love from early on too. And when I love something, I don't sway from it. I don't
Yeah.
detach from it at any point. If I love it, I love it. You know what I'm saying? There's never been a point where I'm like, nah, fuck that and get back into it. If I love something, I'm riding for it.
Yeah, yeah. By the time this is released, I'll be going to my very first pay-per-view, which was the Royal Rumble in
I'll be
Indianapolis.
there.
As we're
I'll be
talking,
there.
as well, you'll
I'll
be
be
there
there.
too. Oh hell yeah,
Yep, I'll
hell
be
yeah! I'm
there.
gonna have to hit you up. I'm gonna have to hit you up. We'll take a shot together to do a promo for this. But yeah, this is my first pay-per-view, and the Rumble for me, my favorite event of the entire year anyway. So the fact that this is my first pay-per-view, like I could have gone to others. I live outside of Dayton, Ohio, so they come to Columbus every once in a while. But like I wanted my first to be a big one. So like I
Hmm.
didn't want to go to a fast lane or anything like that. Like I
Right,
don't give a shit
right.
about shit like you know what I'm saying? So like the fact that I'm actually having an opportunity to do this, man, I'm really looking forward to it. Cause like you said, like oh, you can tell behind me, I've got money in the bank thing right here. I've got a Royal Rumble chair behind me. Like if I'm like you when you said if I'm into something, like I'm into
Yeah.
it. I'm into it all the way hardcore. So and that's just a couple of things I got. Obviously I can't display everything I have, but yeah.
Couple of things to respond to that specific thing you said. One, what stood out to me is I'll get back to wrestling. One, the thing you stand out was I want my first to be something special, right? You could have done this, you could have went da da da. You wanted your first to be something. I can relate to that because as a lifelong juggalo, I've always watched the gathering from afar, and I always
Mm,
wanted to go to the gathering. Could I have attended? Sure, but I knew somewhere deep in my heart that I wanted my first gathering to be as a performer. I wanted to be invited. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I wanted that first time to be something special, and it was. So holding off that whole time made the first time that much special. So me and you can relate on that. And going
yeah.
back to why in Indianapolis, the reason I'm going is because I'm going to Michigan next week. So I'm only for the week. You know, I got a lot of things to do with Clay, with ICP and stuff like that, shoot some videos, do some podcasts out there. So I'll only be 4 hours away. But the real reason I was like, I'm going to that, not only because I'll be close enough, but they announced that the next year's Rumble is in Saudi Arabia. I'm like, I'm not waiting two
Right,
years. I'm
right.
not
Yeah,
waiting 2 years, bro. I wanna,
yeah.
because Royal Rumble, just like WrestleManias, I'm lucky enough to knock a couple WrestleManias off my belt. Late in my, you know what I'm saying, late in my journey. But each one of them has been amazing. But Royal Rumble's definitely been on my checklist, and I was like, I don't want to wait 2 years, and I'll be close enough. Let's make it work. I'm gonna be there for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I could have gone to like Detroit or something like that before in the past, but Indianapolis is like so close to me that I can literally drive home that night and not be like it's perfect. The fact that they're
Dope.
doing they're doing a Mania in Indianapolis later. I think they said they're doing a either Survivor Series or SummerSlam. I can't remember, but I know they're doing 3 there. So it's like, man, I'm hitting all those because it's close enough to me that I ain't got to worry about it. So, man, I'm super
Dope.
excited for it. And like I said, by the time this drops, it'll already be over. So I'm sure we had a great time. God, I'm looking
Dope.
forward to it.
Dope.
Who do you? Okay, so let's do a little. Man, this is not anywhere I wanted to go, but hey, we're here, so fuck it, let's do it. Who? All right. So by the time this drops, the winners will be announced. So let's go ahead and make some picks here. Who do you think is winning the men's, and who do you think is winning the women's? And by the time this drops, we'll have the results, so we'll see who's right. We'll start with you. Who do you think?
All right. So when I watch wrestling, I very much suspend all rationality, meaning I could predict what the fuck's going on. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I could
yeah,
predict. I could go by what the storyline's telling me. I can go by what the dirt, like what I'm hearing on the internet. I can go because a lot of that shit leaks in advance, and a lot of
right.
that shit is predictable. So what I do when I watch wrestling is I straight up fan root for who I want to win. All right. I go in as the hype what I say ideal fan is I'm suspending my disbelief. I'm rooting for my favorites right now. So
Yeah.
I'm a CM Punk guy. Let's go CM Punk. All right. I want CM Punk to win. Surprise entrant, get the Rock in there, let him win. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Smart money might say John Cena, right? Smart money might John Cena, but they may want to ride that train a little bit, tease that train a little bit, you know, have him lose the Rumble, maybe get in a limit chamber, maybe have him lose that, maybe win Money in the Bank. They might want to ride that retirement tour a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But when I do that, I can calculate, I can guess and all that. I'm gonna root for John Cena. I mean, I'm gonna root for CM Punk and I'll root for The Rock. As for the women's, so we got Rhea and Trish Stratton, Tiff Stratton. Don't really care who wins. Don't really care.
yeah,
Along for the ride. Happy to see whoever wins.
yeah. I think you're right. I think CM Punk would probably be my bet for the men's, just because they want to give him that WrestleMania main event. He's had a hell of a year since his the clock is ticked and he's came back. I think they want to reward him with that main event. Now, what would he win? I don't know.
Mm.
But I do think they at least want to give him that main event to check that off the list. As far as the women goes, man, I think you're right. Like, I just don't the champions that are in place right now, like that's who I would have wanted to win the
Uh-huh.
Rumble anyway.
Right.
But if I really had to pick somebody who they want to win, I would kind of honestly, oh man, I
Dominic
don't
Mysterio.
to win the women's.
The biggest heel move of all time.
The
Rhea
biggest heel
Dom,
move of all time.
WrestleMania.
I
Come
think
on
you
now.
are onto something there. Like I could see Liv winning and them
Mm.
extending that rivalry. So Dominic would be involved in a WrestleMania match women's wise, because obviously he's not going to have a storyline. It's just not, they're not going to end this that soon. So if I had to guess, I would probably say Liv, but I honestly have no fucking clue. So you're
Right,
right.
right.
I'm absolutely in agreement with you. Yeah, for sure.
Here for the ride. No preferences, no guesses. Just hope is dope.
Yeah.
Hope is dope.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit as far as how you got into underground music. I've been to Worcester a couple of times. I myself was, I guess I should say, an artist in the underground. I was in a band called Menace to Sobriety for about 10 years. We were on the Rock and Shock tour, or I'm sorry, it was the Spooktacular Horror Show tour, and we ended up coming through Worcester once for the Rock and Shock convention. And then
Awesome.
I think we were there for something else too, but I can't remember. But yeah, that was a super dope convention. I love the city. So that's where you're from. How did you get into
Yeah.
underground music? Was because for me it was underground being where I live. It was kind of a hot spot being this close to Detroit because
Mm.
I-75, that was the corridor where we got everything. So I'm always curious to see what it was like where people are in demographics across the country and how it came across your plate. How did you get into underground music?
Well, it was 100% divine intervention how I got into Insane Clown
Mm,
Posse. They're the ones who opened the door for me. I'm a child, legit child, can't be older than 6, 7, or maybe younger than 8. My older brother lived in the basement in my house at the time, and I would always sneak into his room to steal his CDs and shit like that, and rip him on tapes and all that. So one time his room was locked. All right, his room is locked, so I'm like, oh damn. So I just wandered around the basement. So he had a room in his basement, then I had the rest of the basement. So I'm going to the other, just wandering around the basement, just being a kid, just looking around, and I see a box. Long story short, I find a CD, and it's like has a bunch of blue and purple clowns on it in a circle like that. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, all right, maybe I made a pile of CDs to bring them up. Maybe I didn't, but it was loose, no case, no cover, just a straight up loose CD. And I'll bring it up, I pop it in, not knowing what the hell it is. There's no name on it. It's just the images. So I'm like, all right, what's this? And it was a dark, gentle night in a little town of
mm.
well, your town. I'm like, holy shit. And I got goosebumps. Kid, this is kind of spooky. And then down, Carnival Carnage beat drop. I'm like, okay, so this is a rap. And then waiting on a Juggalette trunk get a mix. I'm like, oh shit, it's a rap out. Like, so, and then the whole Carnival Carnage ride that they took me on, the storytelling, the night of the acts,
Yeah.
the scary shit, the funny skits. They took me on such a ride at such a young age. I cherish that album. To this day, I cherish that album. I'm like, yo, this opened my eyes because at the moment I was listening to maybe say in the correct age group, let's say DMX, let's say Big Pun, No Limit, you know what I'm saying? No Limit, maybe Eazy-E, NWA, Dr. Dre, Snoop. That's who I was on as far as
Yeah.
rap. So hearing this was so different. I was like, this is a whole other shit, but they're rapping. And that was the only taste I've had of ICP for a long time. So maybe about middle school or high school. That's the only shit I ever had. And then I think the second time I heard of them was Jekyll Brothers. Someone had the Jekyll Brothers CD. I'm like, yo, let me get that. What the fuck is this? Clowns. The clowns? I know some clowns. Hold on, let me pop that in. And they sounded so different than the Carnival of Carnage. I'm like, these are the
Right.
same people. Violent
Yeah.
J. Violent J. That's what I'm like, what the fuck? So it was kind of divine intervention how it came into my life. So once I knew Insane Clown Posse was a thing, I was like, oh, it's on. I gotta go. I gotta find these motherfuckers. I gotta get their CDs. I gotta know about them because they were straight up on the ground. They weren't in my world at the time. You know what I'm saying? As a real young. So when I started growing in my teenage years, in my formative years, growing up, that's when I started going to. I think it was Newberry Comics, right? Beeline to the rap, beeline to the eyes, Insane Clown Posse. Jackson as a fat bitch because I didn't have money. I was a kid. Jacked all them shit. Jacked them shits. Made my fucking catalog, and the rest was history. And thankfully, I grew up in Worcester, where it was also a hot spot for underground music. The Palladium was
Nice.
a yearly spot for them. So my first Insane Clown Posse show was at the Palladium, and thankfully, being around that, even the parking lot is kind of historic. The parking lot of the Palladium, because they kind of tailgate before the shows. So you see people
Mm,
handing out flyers. You see people handing out, demos and shit like that. Oh, show at Tammany Hall down the street later tonight, after parties, shit like that. I'm like, oh, all right, boom, door open to a whole other fucking culture, a whole other subgenre that I fell in love with. I'm like, these motherfuckers are doing juggalo shit on a smaller stage. Because right now it was only like ICB, Twisted, Psychopathic. That's all I knew. I was like, these guys are doing it. I want to fucking do it. I want to do it.
yeah.
And I could have been born anywhere in the world. That wouldn't have been the case. But since I was born in Worcester, it was right there at my front door, man. It was dope.
Yeah. Palladium is actually the place that we played at in for Rock and Shock.
Rock and
And
Shock, yeah.
we still talk about that venue because like it's a very sizable venue first and foremost, but it goes up. So like when you're on stage performing, like the one thing I remember more than anything is talking to the crowd and go, everybody make some motherfucking noise. And I see everyone go, but no sound comes out. And I'm like, what the fuck? The sound travels up. It doesn't go forward with all the thing, and everything goes up. So when you're on stage, you can see the people, you see their mouth open, but you can't fucking hear anything hardly. And that's what threw me off more than anything. That and I did kind of enjoy how big the stage was because that was one of the more sizable stages we played on that tour. But that, yeah, you could tell that's a historic building because even when you're
Yeah.
like walking through, I guess what you would call the green room area or whatever, like it looks old. So the fact that you said it has a lot of history, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. 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 Very nice venue for sure. And you said that was someplace that they always frequented?
Almost damn near yearly, one of the hot spots. They would always show love. If you watch any of their like documentaries, anytime they're in Worcester, they break down how fucking important of a clown, they call it a clown town, how important of a clown town Worcester is. That's why Juggalo Weekend this year, 2025, is in Worcester in cold
Mhm.
ass February. Because I know for a fact ICP is very conscious of where they put Juggalo Weekend. They don't want it to be in a cold ass spot. They want it in Florida, they want it in Arizona and shit like that,
Right.
California. But they were like, Worcester, Mass deserves a fucking Juggalo Weekend because of how fucking important and how fucking just amazing that
Yeah.
is. The experiences they've shown nothing but love for Worcester, and the love has been reciprocated tenfold for them. You know what I'm saying? So Worcester is
Yeah.
100% one of the top clown towns. I hear Denver, Worcester. That's what I hear. You know what I'm saying? I hear Denver, Worcester, obviously Michigan, right? But Worcester is, they say it themselves, one of the top spots ever.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. So how did you end up getting started into acting? Because you said that's something else that was a passion for yours. How did you open that door for yourself?
Yeah, man. I started doing there was no other avenue. So I just started doing like skits on MySpace and YouTube.
Okay.
There was no other avenue to act really. So I just started making dumb shit with my friends and uploading them as an outlet, like as a because I like comedy too, you know. So my biggest acting influences is Jim Carrey and Amy Poehler. So
Oh,
acting influences, those are my influences. So I want to do comedy, I want to act. So I was like, let's just do some funny skits, man. And that's what I did. Took a while for me to take it seriously as a career because I still didn't know an avenue. But what really opened the door was doing my first background job. Just straight getting on a set. I forgot. I think it was Boston Casting posted a call. Maybe I seen it on Facebook. Open call for extras in a movie, and that's what did it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this extra job. And when you're on a set, you're just around other actors. Like, you know, like this is my first job. Like everybody else is treating it like a day job. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is my eighth set this week or whatever. I'm like, and then you hear little conversations about little indie projects and student films people are working on. So you trying to kind of like get closer to them, maybe eavesdrop and maybe get in on that. Like, oh, okay, so how'd you get that? Oh, Emerson College. Oh, okay, type that down. All that shit. So doing background work is how I got my foot in the door.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
What are some of the projects that you've done since that time?
Oh man, I've done commercials, Geico commercials, Liberty Mutual commercials, Xfinity, Comcast commercials, and as far as TV and film, I've done Dexter New Blood. I
Oh,
just did a
wow.
episode. I just did an episode of Law and Order SVU. I'm in a bunch of movies. This is my Purge poster. That's me. I did the Purge election year, and that's
Oh,
me.
dope. Hell yeah. Very dope.
So one of my first films was the Purge election year when I was the mass schoolgirl friend, the gas mask purger. I shot that in Rhode Island. So my IMDb is very extensive, but those are the ones that pop out to me. And obviously, I have like lead roles in smaller films, independent,
Mhm.
Amazon like pilots, shit like that. But I'm in small parts in big films, big parts in independent short films, shit like that. But commercials has been really good to me, and every Dexter New Blood has probably been my favorite one.
Yeah. Has there been any challenges that you didn't foresee starting that kind of a venture? Because it's very different. I mean, this is obviously to say, but it's very different than, performing music and recording music. I mean, you got to be in the right, completely different kind of state of mind to do stuff like that. Was there any roadblocks that you found challenging, or was it something that was just natural for you?
I think I think what was really impressive is how much I got done as a non-union actor and
Mm,
unrepresented actor. So a lot of actors have agents, and they join SAG pretty early on. So I think what really set me apart was how much I was doing grinding, really getting myself out there, going to every casting call, submitting for every role, doing a lot of background work at first, doing a lot to build up my
yeah,
resume, maybe get a foot in a feature, maybe get in front of the camera more. You know what I'm saying? Doing a lot of background work, building resume and connections at the same time. So I think that was really impressive by the time I was ready to join SAG-AFTRA as a union actor and take the next step in my acting journey. And it was really impressive by the time I got my first agent, my acting agent, and get representation. They saw my resume and we did the interview. They're like, "All right, you did fucking all this without us. Why wouldn't we sign you?" You know what I'm saying?
right.
So I think the challenge was me being naive and not knowing that those things are very important, and me still trying to go for it, me being that me having that DIY mindset from music and applying it to acting.
Yeah.
That's naive. It's very naive, but I did it, and it worked to my benefit. And I did a lot of cool non-union shit, a lot of cool not, you know what I'm saying, a lot of cool shit before I got represented, man. So that really built my resume and made me be prepared for what I'm doing now.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for that as well, because I think there's a lot of people, and this even translates to music as well. But there's a lot of people who think, "Man, I'm good. Eventually somebody's going to find me." No, you got to get out there and you got to make a name for yourself. Like I ended up getting to a point where in my area, the underground music scene in Dayton, Ohio was not active when I started really, trying to do something with it. And it came to a point where it was like, if I want to bring underground music to this area, or if I want to be a part of it, I'm going to have to be a promoter because
Mm,
nobody else is doing it.
hmm.
So I went out, I found the biggest venue in Dayton, started booking acts. We started with ABK, and by that October, I was, working with Twisted and George and all those people,
Wow.
and bringing them. This was like 2016, I think, was the year where this started, and it was just one of those things where, like, and Columbus was an area that at one point in time was really popping, but with Alrosa Villa kind of being oversaturated, like there was no place in this area that was doing that kind of stuff. And nobody was trying to. So I'm like, look, if I want these opportunities, I've got to learn how to be a promoter. So I did. I wasn't going to sit back and wait for somebody else to put me on. I put myself on. And I
Word.
think that's a lot of people's hang up. Would you agree with that? A lot of people think that eventually they're going to be the next Eminem and somebody's going to discover him. I found anyway.
It's tough because that mindset is more co-signed than ever before because of social media and TikTok, but it's also less
Yes.
realistic. But it's also less realistic because it's so oversaturated. So
Right.
everybody could be doing it. Like, yes, there are 100% cases where something goes viral and boom, gets signed, boom, gets placed on television for their comedy bits. Lot of occasions, but think about the millions of other people that aren't getting picked up. So people see like that success of like someone getting found via the internet, via TikTok or social media, and be like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna build my blueprint after them and be
Yeah.
found. It's a realistic point of view to them because they see it actualize, but in real act, millions of people are doing that and not being found. So it's better
Right.
to step out and do it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, like I said in the intro of this, we have a mutual friend in DJ Clay. How did you get hooked up with him?
It's funny, man. If you want the religion, no, literal. If you want the literal response, the literal answer to that is I was a fan at one of the ICP shows when I was like a teenager or something, and I have a picture of it. I just like handed him, I handed him a CDR, like a demo of like songs, a
Yeah.
CDR with Sharpie on it. I was like, here you go,
Right.
man. I was like, here you go, man. Took a picture with him with his demo, with my demo in his hand. He probably threw that shit away. And it was probably trash as fuck too. Like that's the funny part. But fast forward, that's the literal first time I met him, just as a fan. Fast forward, Lotus Pod, Psychopathic Records. I get asked to perform at the Three Rings Extravaganza in Psychopathic Records, one of the
Mm.
last live event held at Psychopathic Records. So at this point, I'm already talking to Violent J. He brought me out there to perform, and I walk in, and I'm in the fucking Lotus Pod, bro, like the legendary, the coveted. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we connected. So he was there chilling, cool, feeling nice, got the bottle. You know what I'm saying? Doing his clay shit. And I'm chilling like on, very, very grateful, very not nervous, but just very grateful to be there. And I go out, rock my show, bleed everywhere. I started bleeding. I had a bloody nose. What the fuck you already do?
Ah!
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it kind of like looked like a prop. But the people that saw that wasn't a prop, they were like, "Oh, what the fuck?" So I kill it. So I kill my stage. I kill it. I do my thing after the show. I get really kind words from Rob and Clay, and that's what we connected backstage right after the set. He saw what I could do. He saw that I killed it. He was like, "Yo, let's connect." And it was exchange of words. It was a mutual conversation, a quick one. But one thing he said that I don't remember any really words exchanged, but I do remember one thing he said. He was like, all right, lock me in. Here's my number. Now use it. He was like, use it. Because a lot of people like that's one thing motherfuckers sleep on is people have this connections, these resources, and they forget to use it. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, dog, here you go, yo, use that shit. Use that shit and walked away. You know what I mean? And I stayed, continue my trip in Michigan, and that's how we got connected. Lotus Pod.
Yeah.
So
That's a very profound statement you just made about the connections and using it. And to pile on top of that something else, because that's excuse me, that's why we're speaking right now, is because I've got this connection myself with Clay, and I needed some guests for next week or next month. And he was like, yeah, I got this guy, you'd be great for your show. I'm like, all right, cool. Don't ever be afraid to use that connection, but also be careful about which bridges you burn as well. Because even though me and Clay haven't talked probably in the last couple of years, we've always been on a good ground. A lot of people take that as an insult, like, oh, he's too big
mm,
for me. No, motherfuckers are busy. So,
mm.
as long as you keep that bridge intact, man, you can always go back and reuse those resources. Absolutely. Especially in underground music. And I'm sure you would probably feel the exact way about that.
Oh yeah, don't burn bridges. Fuck out of here. Don't be dumb.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Be a genuine, respectable human being. Be professional. Conduct yourself like a professional, and you'll be all right. Just don't fuck nobody over. Don't be a jerk, and be understanding of people's time. You know what I'm saying? Be respectful of people's
Yeah.
time, and if they do take the chance to text you back, that's a good look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you send a text and it goes unanswered, don't jump to the fuck you conclusion. You never know what's going on side of the other side of the phone, brother. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, when I was doing, I know Clay because of the promoter thing that I was talking about. And one of the things that I always did with any interaction I've ever had, and it hasn't always been perfect, but any interaction I've ever had when I was doing that promoter gig was I'm going to be as professional as possible. And here's something else that's very important. I'm not going to fanboy these people. I've
Oh
seen that
yeah.
happen a million
Oh yeah.
times where somebody books an act or something like that and they cannot help themselves but to be a fanboy. You will gain so much more respect by not being a
Oh
fanboy
yeah.
than being one. Trust me on that one. If you're watching this, trust me on that one because it will
Yep.
get you further. A lot of these people deal with that 24/7. If you show them that the same respect as a human being, not an artist, not your favorite artist, a human being, it will come back to you tenfold. But also, being the utmost professional. I cannot understate how important that is because when you would come to Dayton, Ohio, and you would go to Odd Bodies, which is the name of the club, and I was on the bill, like by the first year, I had people like, "Man, is this your show? Because I want you to be the one in charge." And if it was, I'd be like,
Mm.
"Absolutely." And I remember that's how I built my relationship with George and Twisted back in 2016 was I was actually putting together shows and I was doing everything that was asked of me. I was doing the promoting because that's another problem. People book the shows and hey, if I built it, they will come. No, you need to hit the streets. If somebody hits you up for a ticket and it's 30 miles away and it's Sunday and your favorite football team is playing, motherfucker, you better put it on the radio and go drive and sell that one ticket 30 miles away. You've got to do that. That's how you become successful. And people recognize that. And that leaves doors open for the future. So absolutely. Absolutely. And I see again in my research of talking with leading up to talking with you, I see you yourself are actually doing a lot of big stuff as well. You just released, as of this recording yesterday, you just released a single with Royce the 5'9". That's a big deal. Let's talk a little bit about this album you got coming up. Because I'm very interested to hear the details on it and some of the cool stuff you got coming up for it.
MANIFLEX is the album. It's my second full length LP. And it's been done. It's been talked about for years now. It's been
Hmm.
kind of just in the atmosphere, and people like, when the hell is it dropping? And even a few years ago, the rollout was starting. It was supposed to come out years ago. It's supposed to come out. There was a time, I think it was like maybe 2 years ago, where I dropped the music video for Prime. I dropped the music video for Blood on the Hood, fourth quarter of that year, and first quarter of the year was supposed to be the album. And in that rollout, um, a couple labels were interested in signing me, man. And so there was two, and I had to kind of I kind of had to make a decision. Like, all right, I could do what I've been doing, and roll it out independently, or I could do something that I've never done in my career and maybe have help and guidance from someone that may have more resources and knowledge of the situation. So the two labels that I could have went with both had resources, both had my best you know intentions, right? Best had the best intentions for me, and they both could have helped me tremendously, and they were both a good fit. Happened to be Clay. Clay was more persistent and just more with me. You know what I'm saying? He was a day one since I met him. So the album has been done, and the album is really a passion project as far as showing you that manifestation is real, and showing you that prayer works, and showing you that you can live your dreams. You know what I'm saying? Showing you it's possible. So Maniflex is really just showing you and telling you. So in the album, the lyrics, I'm telling you, but with the features and everything I'm doing, I'm also showing you. So as far as the Royce feature, Royce the 5'9" is featured on the album, and Insane Clown Posse is featured on the album, and so many other legends that haven't been announced are on the album, and so many people that I inspired to work with in my life are on the album, and it's living proof, and it's showing you, and it's a very positive album with great meaning, and that's why it's been on hold for so long, because it needs to make the biggest impact it possibly can. And if I released it a couple years ago, maybe it wouldn't have made as big an impact as it's about to. Timing is everything. Timing is
Yes.
absolutely everything. Okay. So maybe 2025, the stars aligned. This is the time. It wasn't 2023. It wasn't 2021 when I announced the fucking album, right? It's 2025. And I'm excited. It's gonna live up to everything. And I think the stars aligned finally for it to drop, man. Let's get it.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree with you, man. There's so many people that try to rush things and because they want it. Not because it's the right time. Timing is absolutely everything, especially when you're releasing some kind of an entertainment outlet, whether it be a movie, whether it be an album, whatever it is. You have to be in the right position, A, to promote it, because that's very important. Nothing that you do is ever going to be successful if you just put it out there and go, okay, hopefully people listen. Like you've got to be in the right ability to promote it. But not only that, is it the right time for the feel of whatever that project is? Because that is something I think a lot of people don't pick up on. The feel for it, it has to feel right for it to be that time. So what is it about 2025 that you felt like this is the right time? Is it, like you said, is it a spiritual thing? Because I noticed you said prayer works. I wholeheartedly believe with you, believe that as well. Is that maybe something you just feel like you're getting that pull from the supernatural, or is it something else?
Juggalo Weekend is in my hometown.
Mm,
Juggalo Weekend is in my hometown. They announced it far enough in advance where I was like, this sounds like an incredible opportunity to do something special. Being on that bill is momentum, a lot of it. That is a big deal. Being on that bill, as you can see, there's only a handful. There's not a fucking super list of openers. No, there's
right.
me and two other people ahead of me, and then Insane Clown Pussy. Day one, three people. You know what I'm saying? Like hometown, Juggalo Weekend. I'm on the bill. Let's make the most out of it. It just fit. It just feels right. So to your point, it felt right. It made sense. It's been on the back burner for so long, inexplicably. So why the fuck not? Why the fuck not make this it? And on top of that, Gathering 25, Gathering of Legends, the biggest gathering of all time. Come on, man. This is it. This is what the fuck has been on the back burner for, unbeknownst to me. I didn't know why, you know what I'm saying? I just had faith. I had faith that it'll come out when it's supposed to come out. But the biggest catalyst was Juggalo Weekend, me being on a bill in my hometown of Worcester, Massachusetts, where it all began. Where it all began in that Palladium fucking venue as a fan, waiting in line in the cold, being squished by the barricade front row, watching the St. Clown Posse, having a blast of my life, walking home and drenched in Fago with a smile on my face, man. You know, face paint all splashed up on me and shit. It it was I just listened. I just listened to my guides and it feels right, man. This is it.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent to hear, man. You're passionate about what you do. I could tell it in your voice, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And like I said, we'll have to meet up at the Rumble so we can get a little shot together and promote this episode. So I'll hit you up when we get there, if we have fucking phone service, because I've never been around 55,000 people like that before. So we'll see. We'll see how phone service is working. But yeah, man. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I hope nothing but the best for the project. Obviously, I'm gonna check it out when it drops, and I'm sure it's going to do amazing for you, my man. So, last couple of minutes, I always give to my guest. Plug any socials. Obviously, we talked about the album coming up. Anything you want to plug, man? The floor is yours, brother.
Currently out, Bad Meets Killer music video. Myself, Tierre Diaz, featuring Royce the 5'9". Please go watch that. Go support it. It is hip hop at its finest. Juggalo Weekend, Worcester, Massachusetts. I know people will be watching this from all over the country, but just know that I'll be there. I'm just happy to be there, and I'm gonna be ripping that shit. So be on the lookout for any lives or any Juggalo sources that shows that may showcase my set. Be on the lookout for Juggalo Weekend, and I'll be in Detroit next week. So by the time this comes out, that trip will be over. So watch out for anything I may have worked on. Music videos is coming. More music videos are coming, and more news about the MANIFLEX album that will be announced at Juggalo Weekend. So February is a big month. Hell yeah.
Awesome. Tierre, thank you so much, my man. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Next up.